Today I'm going to show you a couple different methods of freezing zucchini. I got this giant zucchini at the farmer's market for $1 because the giant ones tend to be a little tough, but they're still great for zucchini bread. So I'm going to be grating this in my food processor, and I'm going to have to cut it up first because this zucchini is too big even for the extra large blue chute that's on my food processor. So I'm going to cut this up and grate it on my food processor. You can just grate your zucchini by hand if you prefer, but this is definitely the fastest way for me to deal with this zucchini. Alright, now that my zucchini is in reasonable sized chunks, I'm going to put it through the food processor. I am not peeling it because the peel is going to be in such small pieces anyway in zucchini bread, and I think it adds a nice little green fleck of color to the bread. I did rinse and dry the zucchini and I cut off the ends. So now that the zucchini is grated, I'm going to measure it out into 3.5 cup increments because that's how much I use in my zucchini bread recipe. And the zucchini will lose some moisture, which will pool in the bag when you freeze it, but since part of the point of zucchini bread is the extra moisture from the zucchini anyway, I would probably just go ahead and use everything that's in the bag. And then I like to label my bags before I put stuff in them because they're a lot easier to write on then. I put zucchini and the date, and then you can put any other information you like allergy information or the cost, things like that you want to remember when you pull it out. And once the zucchini is in the bag, I'll just squeeze as much of the air out of it as I can, flatten that out, and then seal it closed. And it's ready to freeze. Alright, I've showed you the super simple way to grate zucchini and freeze it, but the other way that I like to use zucchini sometimes is in zucchini casseroles. I use lasagna type ingredients, but with zucchini slices instead of noodles. And for that, you're going to need to blanch it. That's recommended to make it last a lot longer in the freezer for slices rather than grating. So first of all, I'm going to slice this zucchini with the slicing blade on my food processor. I'm using a thicker slicing blade, and obviously you can also do this by hand if you don't have a food processor or don't want to use it. For blanching the zucchini, I'm going to use this pasta pot I have. This is the insert, which doubles as a strainer. So I'm just going to put the sliced zucchini right in there. You can also just put your zucchini straight into boiling water and pour them out into a colander, but if you're doing multiple batches, it's more efficient if you can use something like this and not have to dump out your boiling water every time. So I'm just going to plunge this into the boiling water and let it boil for about 3 to 5 minutes. You don't want it to be cooked when it's done. You just want it to have gotten hot enough to kill off the enzymes that are going to change the consistency of the zucchini as it ages in the freezer. Alright, this has been in the boiling water for about 3 minutes, so I'm going to take it to the sink. I'm just running cold water over it instead of dunking it in ice water bath to stop the cooking. Technically you're supposed to use an ice water bath, but it's a real life shortcut, and this is just how I actually cook in my kitchen when I'm not on video. And then as before, I'm going to load this into pre-labeled ziplock bags. And that's how I freeze zucchini. I like to take all of these bags and squish them flat, which helps them freeze faster and also makes it easier to organize them in the freezer. If they're all just kind of shaped funny, however they were sitting, they never go back the same way. It's like trying to repack a suitcase at the end of the trip. But if they're flat, then you can kind of file them, and they'll mostly fit back together again after you move stuff around. Also, if you have the freezer space, it can help them to freeze faster if you lay them out side by side instead of on top of each other. But it's not a big deal if you have a small freezer. They should freeze fine either way. And this is a relatively easy way to enjoy your zucchini bounty, whether that's cheap from the farmer's market or overwhelming you from your garden, all through the winter.